already said, our group is called SöderConncetion, and our work is to do with connecting seniors in the city region of Södermalm. First of all, we would like to introduce our team to you. My name is Hakkarainen. I'm a master's student of Administrative Sciences from Finland with specialization in local administration.
I'm Ingrid Honeth. I'm a master's student in the program Work, Technology and Health from KTH, and I have a background in psychology from South Africa.
Hi, I'm Raphael, and I'm currently studying international tourism management at the university, and I've graduated from music composition at the University of Gothenburg.
Good morning, everyone. Leah Richardson here, studying sustainable food systems at SLU with a previous master's in international public health.
And I'm Vera. I'm a master's student in the program of urban and regional planning at Stockholm University with a background in cultural geography from Germany.
So just to give you a general introduction to our topic, there is a growing percentage of seniors within the population, which has led to a growing number of services for seniors. There is also an increase in seniors' loneliness in the society, which has resulted in an increase for social investment, which has only been emphasized further by the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is where our challenge sort of starts. Södermalm stadsdelsförvaltning, that runs 2 senior centers here in Stockholm, have asked us to figure out ways to adjust their operations at the senior centers in a way that results in reaching out to local seniors successfully, with the solutions needing to be both sustainable during and after the pandemic, and also finding a way to deal with the challenge of low digital competence amongst seniors. You were already introduced the double diamond, so there's not much to mention here other than that in the understanding part, we wanted to focus on our key stakeholders and the different insights we get from them. And from those insights, we developed a bunch of ideas, and then we tried to prototype and test them, but we will go into the details of this in a moment.
So yeah, our first step was to understand the seniors and empathize with them. So we conducted some interviews with seniors that were attending a senior center and seniors that were not attending any senior center. Yola, can you go to the next slide? And we also conducted interviews with the staff. And what we found out there was that trust is a very critical element in getting seniors, especially seniors not attending any senior center, to attend senior centers. And that this trust can best be met with reaching out through personal networks and the word of mouth method. From the senior center itself, we found out that unusual and themed events get the most engagement, and that seniors don't really take the first step and are very passive. Also for seniors not attending the center, there's this kind of barrier where they don't want to take initiative to do the first step to attend a senior center. And then within the senior center, companionship and meeting people and socializing is the critical element. So from these information and data, we created 3 personas that are representative of the data we gathered. So the first one is Gunpret, who is not attending any senior center. She's 83 years old, and she's in need of social interaction and trustworthy activities. Yvonne is also not attending any senior center. She's 66 years old. Before the pandemic, she had a very rich social life. That's why she never chose to go and attend a senior center. But during the pandemic, that has changed and decreased. And then there's Annette, who is attending a senior center, is 75 years old and highly values the activities and the social interaction that she's getting from the senior center. And she really misses it during the pandemic, but she's also a bit hesitant of returning due to the pandemic and the ongoing crisis. So from these personas and from the insights we've gathered, we decided to only focus on one of the challenges we received, because we also found out that most of the seniors were not interested in taking part in any digital events, or even if they had digital competence, they were not really interested, as it is not the same as a physical meeting. So we focused on reaching local seniors on Södermalm and how to reach them. And we then created an individual point of view for each of the personas we've just met. And then from these 3 different point of views, we developed a general one that applies to all of our personas' needs, which then was: seniors need to feel mentally and emotionally secure and motivated to facilitate their connection with other seniors.
So from the results of our empathizing phase, we used our insights personas, refined challenge and point of view to develop how might we questions. And we felt that these questions encapsulated the main focus of our refined challenge and used them to drive our ideation process. These questions were: how might we help seniors feel physically safe, help seniors feel emotionally safe, spark a connection, make seniors and family aware that there are safe spaces to connect, and create motivation and foster a more active participation. We then made use of several ideation techniques and methods, such as brainstorming, footstorming, and how now matrices, and aim to address each of these questions. Through many rounds of voting and building onto each other's ideas, keeping commonalities, contradictions, and our insights and personas in mind, we developed 4 concepts and prototyped and presented them at the end of the first cycle through the double diamond. Our concepts were a free lunch incentive, where seniors attending the center received a free lunch voucher when bringing along a new friend. And this concept was very well received by the challenge giver and has been adopted. A safety instruction video, which will be created by the seniors attending the senior center, outlining the ways the center and attendees take precautions to ensure that it's a safe place to meet and socialize. A social media advert featuring a celebrity advertising and endorsing the center aimed specifically at the loved ones of seniors who may be concerned about them becoming increasingly socially isolated. And finally, themed events. We used various prototyping methods to present our concepts, such as storyboards, videos, and models. Due to the pandemic, our ability to test and prototype was highly limited, and we relied heavily on the feedback from our first external presentation and challenge givers, as well as a survey and second round of empathizing. Taking this feedback into consideration, as well as some practical and regulatory limitations, we identified theme events to be our winning concept, which we then worked on developing further. Our themed events concept would offer seniors an immersive environment targeting all 5 senses, using food, music and sounds, visual projections all around the room, as well as props and activities featuring special guests, artists, or teachers. These events would draw like-minded people to the center and promote active participation and social interaction, centering on a common interest and shared experiences amongst seniors.
So from the themed events concept, we go on to develop the concept more fully in order to deliver the concept to our challenge givers. So with the insights from the survey in mind, we realized that the seniors would like events that are related to culture, travel, food, music, and sports. And also they would bring a friend if the event would be interesting enough. So in order to develop more fully developed examples of themed events for the reference of for the senior center, we decided to develop a guidebook so that they can use the guidebook in order to reproduce the themed events for the participants. And in order to help them, we decided to use the themed events template, which includes all elements that are needed to deliver an immersive experience for the participants, from the theme to more detailed elements like food, music, guests, props, and decor visuals, as well as more general things like safety precautions, technology, and communication. So we cover all the senses. So of course, due to COVID-19, we're unable to present the prototype in person physically. So we decided to brainstorm some examples according to this matrix. So we divided the possible events to active or passive events, or whether the events involve only internal material or external involvement. And so from these event ideas we brainstormed, we picked 10 ideas in order to fill out the themed event template that we just mentioned for inclusion into the guidebook, so that we can give the guidebook to the senior center for them to reproduce experience. So of course, we cannot present the prototype in person physically now. So we've decided to make a video for you to experience our idea.
We were challenged to identify ways to lower the threshold for participation, to facilitate connection amongst a diverse range of seniors on Södermalm. We empathized with the seniors. Our winning concept was to create themed events to motivate them to participate. In order to support an easy implementation, we present to you today our themed events guidebook. This will contain advice that pertains to developing all themes, some common elements, communication, safety precautions, and technology needed, as well as more specific aspects that one would need to think about. We have also developed some examples and provided a template that helps you work through them. This will enable your centers to easily plan so that the rooms transform from the standard senior center and take seniors away, for example, to magical tropical holidays, beach vacations that they remember, with tropical drinks and food, with soothing music that reminds them of warm tropical places, and beautiful visuals projected on walls that transforms the space into something else. With this guidebook, the possibilities will be endless. And Gun-Britt will have had such a great time attending the themed event. She will call all her friends to join her.
So if we move on to implementing our concept, we looked at the business case and estimated what the cost of the problem of isolation and loneliness would be for the seniors. Research has shown that chronic loneliness costs about 130,000 kroners per person over 15 years. And we know that the centers have approximately 20,000 visitors per year. If you were to calculate that out, that means that the economic cost to society is approximately 174 million kroners per center. If we look at the cost of our concept, it would be a one-time purchase of visual technology. That would be including 4 mountable projectors and 4 remote controlled screens. That runs approximately 100,000. If you analyze those two in conjunction, you'll see that we present a good value for money. The corona pandemic has increased the numbers of isolated as well as the severity of their isolation. And we also have know from research that active participation and group delivery are two of the most effective methods for relieving isolation in general. Therefore, if you combine those elements of value for money and effective implementation, we can see that we have a viable proposition here. Moving on to the implementation plan, in order to double check that what our concept was worth implementing, we looked at through the lenses of whether it was desirable, viable, and feasible. And in order to determine if it was desirable, we have had extensive consultations with the senior center staff, so our challenge givers, as well as the seniors who would be receiving the implementation or participating in the events. And from both of their angles, the users liked the idea and were interested in implementing and participating. We've already discussed how the business model presents good value for money. And it's an easily implemented concept. With our guidebook, we provide step-by-step guidance on the key elements of putting on a multi-sensory themed event, as well as some examples that are ready to pick up off the shelf and run with. And in general, it's a low-tech and low-effort concept. In terms of deploying it, we have set in place a 3-staged plan. So in stage 1, we would pilot in one of the centers, and this would include procurement of the technology mentioned, testing and using the guidebook to develop the events, obviously implementing the events, and then evaluating both from the perspective of the staff who are implementing the events, as well as from the seniors who are participating in the events. And taking that learning and that adaptation into an expansion into the second senior center, where there would be a second procurement. The events would be implemented and similar evaluations would go forward. Based on the learning from the 2 centers, we would hope to be able to scale up into other senior centers on Södermalm and also in Stockholm, Greater Stockholm area. And this would be done through a presentation, identification of new centers who are interested in implementing this concept, seeking additional funds if necessary, and an information campaign in order to reach out and motivate seniors and their families to attend.
So to give you a conclusion on the general topic of our work here, we feel that there is a wider discussion to be had in the society about the effectiveness of the current measures that are used to deal with challenges related to senior care and reaching out to the elderly. And we would also like to advocate for a general approach in future senior service provision that recognizes the significance of empathy, trust, meaningfulness, and also a sort of bidirectional communication between the service users and providers. So in this case, the senior centers and the elderly. And these themes of empathy, trust, and meaningfulness are themes that sort of constantly kept popping up throughout our work. On that note, this is the end of our presentation. We would like to thank you for your time and for your attention. And we would also like to give our special thanks to our 2 contacts at the Södermalm Senior Centers, Lisa Jansson and Sarah Lundblad. They have been very actively involved in our work, helping us with data gathering and giving us feedback on a constant basis. So our work would have not been the same without you. So a special thanks to you as well.